Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Manveer. I am Mama Bear Stitching and this is Flosstube number 2. Flosstube is a video basically about cross stitching, and I'm going to share some of the stuff I did in January. So I did end up coming back. I want to start off the video by saying thank you. Really big heartfelt thank you to everyone who commented and liked the video and watched the video. I had a lot of very supportive and encouraging comments. When I filmed the first video, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, but definitely the encouragement of people wanting to see more and hoping that I would make another video really kind of pushed me into thinking that maybe I would come back and do a video. I had a lot of comments, and I also had a lot of people who shouted me out or mentioned me. So I'm actually just going to thank them all, and I will link everyone that has social information down below. This is in no particular order, just the order in which I remembered to write things down. So if I missed anyone, I apologize. This is just who I wrote down and I remembered. So first off, Lisa from Forest City Stitching, who mentioned me on her Flosstube video. I've known her for a little bit now. We've talked to each other. I've seen her on a Canadian Talks Zoom call that we did, and she was my partner for the first Canada swaps. She received the item that I swapped to her. Next, very big thank you to Pam and Steph from Just Keep Stitching, who mentioned me on their Flosstube and on their Instagram. I was actually featured as their silver Flosstuber. I think it's, yeah, silver Flosstuber, where they kind of showcase, they do a gold and a silver. Gold is usually someone who's been around and they've known for a while, and silver is usually someone who's new, and I was extremely lucky to be mentioned as the new Flosstuber, and this happened like just a few days after I posted my video, so I was very just like floored. Next, I want to thank Stephanie and Allison from Cross Stitch the Globe. They mentioned me on their Instagram and shared that I'd come out with my first Flosstube. Thank you to them. And then Rebecca from Back Stitches Everything also mentioned me on her Instagram, sharing that I had posted a video. And lastly, Arica from Fibers and Floss Canada, who mentioned me on her Flosstube and also shared on Instagram. And as everyone knows, I do know Arica in person and we've met up a couple of times, but still thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, like I said in the last video, she's been very encouraging and one of my cheerleaders, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And then of course, thank you to everyone who just commented and said nice things and reached out to say, oh, I was local. It was interesting to find that there was actually quite a few local people. I mentioned in my first Flosstube that I live in Langley, BC, that's near Vancouver, and there were a lot of Langley people that shouted out in the comments, so it was interesting to see, and hopefully we can arrange some more community things. Keep watching the video because I will mention our next community event that I'm hosting. So again, looking down from my notes, I'm really detail oriented and I have to write things down. So the things that we're going to talk about in this video, I only worked on 2 of my whips being works in progress, and I had one SAF, a SAF being a start and a finish, which I then fully finished. And then I have some haul. I did mention in my last video that I'm going to be doing a no buy, but this haul was from December. It was my last order that I placed with 123 Stitch for some last bits of fabric and some items that I needed. And then, well, okay, I guess this kind of takes us into the next topic. I did have stickers in my haul as well, and that is because this year I am keeping a stitch journal, but I did not buy the book of days. I just went to Marshall's, I think. I was just wandering around in Marshall's, and they had like their big section with all their planners and journals, and I just picked one up. And yeah, just I liked the cover, and I did like the layout of this, where you have so you have like a monthly overview, but then you also, it goes into like days where you can put down more information if you wanted. And at the back there's quite a few pages of just lined paper. So I've written down my whips that I carried over from 2024, and then I've also started any new starts and listed a whole bunch of information. I like the information. So yeah, did buy stickers for that. I'll show that off in the haul. The planner has been good because I know I stitch almost every day, but sometimes I lose track of the amount of work I put on which project. Sometimes I feel like I work on a project longer than I actually do. Sometimes I feel like I do something really fast when in actual fact it took me longer. And I just wanted to look at the information because it felt, last year I started a lot of smalls thinking I would knock them out in a couple of days and be done. Last year kind of proved that no, even smalls take a little bit of extra time, and so I need to plan accordingly. I can't just start all the smalls thinking I'll do them in a day or two and then be able to go back to my bigger project. So this is just a way to kind of visually take a look at that. Days that I might be, or sorry, months that I might be more busy with family events or get-togethers or just things, I kind of want to see how much less stitching I get done. I want to track it. I was using Instagram, but Instagram is not a great way to track unless you're posting every day, which I don't like to do. I only like to post if there's significant progress to show. But so yeah, that's one of the things I started this year is a journal. And then we'll probably end the video with community stuff, and then also just what else I've been doing. So if you're interested, stick around. If you just want to see the cross stitch, then you can just watch up until that point and leave. That's no big deal. Okay, I guess we'll just get started, and we'll start with the whips. So like I mentioned, I only worked on 2 whips. It was my plan going into January to just work on 2 whips. I wanted to catch up on my Bella Filipina style and put work into my Chatelaine, which this is going to be my year of Chatelaine. I really want to get that finished, so it's going to be a bit of a focus. We'll start off with the Bella Filipina. And so I did iron the fabric, got most of the creases out because it was very heavily creased. And I will show you the full fabric like I said I would in the last video. I guess we'll just get into it. So this is the Blackwater Siren Sal. If I have a picture of what I was at before, at the beginning of the month, I'll show it. I'm not sure if I took a picture or not, but this is where we're at now. So yes, I did put the needle minder to censor her. She is nude, but I'm going to remove it after so you can take a good look. But that's where I'm at currently. So last time I showed this off, I was only showing you this bottom section here because that's the section I was working on. And we'll just go in and we'll talk about the sections because I haven't shown this already. So it started off here in the middle with the kind of like treasure chest. It has a lot of blank spaces because most of the beads and the treasures are all just located in this chest area. Beading is going to get done last, but for now I have put the treasure braid in. I received my treasure braid about a week into January. So this was the next siren released, and so the top half was released first and then the bottom half. And her skin, I've done 1/1 tent. So that means 1 strand of floss over 1 fabric thread. And it's a 10 stitch because I tried to do a full cross and I started in her ear, but it started to get very tight and I had only done one color. So I'm pretty happy with the coverage of just the 1/110. An added bonus is it started to go a lot faster than if I was doing a full cross. So yeah, when I started in January, I was on this lower part, not finished. I had to still finish this. And this next part, the top part here, that is what got released end of December. So again, the skin is stitched 1/110, and her face is just gorgeous. It's not even backstitched yet. And then this is the current part. So I am technically caught up. The cut off, if you can see, is like right where this last little metallic silvery stitch is. That's kind of like the cut off. So everything down here is part 5. So I've done quite a bit of part 5. I only have one, I think the 2 lightest gray shades on the top part of the tail, the waterline to do. So basically like this waterline kind of continues. And then the bottom part of her tail is similar to the bottom of the first siren's tail. It'll have the same like bluey grays in it. And I think there's only 3 colors of that. So once that's done, then I just need to put the Petite Treasure braid. This kind of silver behind her is like a net that goes in front and into the water. And then there's some kind of like sparkly gold and silver that kind of goes into her tail. But yeah, so, oops. That is what it looks like. And I think I mentioned in the last video that this fabric, it's a 36 count linen called Hades Realm by Under the Sea Fabrics. I mentioned that it goes from like a light gray to a black, which is not correct. It goes to like a dark, like a charcoal. So as best I can, I'll show you, hang on, I'll show you some of the full length of the fabric. Yeah, so that's about as dark as it goes. And that is how it's looking so far. So we're gonna get another siren. We're gonna get another siren on this side and then one that kind of goes over top. So then we will be getting more of the kind of darker part of the fabric. But this is it's a half yard. So it's filled up more than half of it. And then I will have some left over, which I'm sure I'll find a project for that. So I'm gonna take the magnet off just in case anyone wants to see what it looks like without the magnet, if it's going to offend you to see the nude top. Then just look away for a couple of seconds, or you can skip ahead. The other 2 sirens that are going to get released are also going to be topless. I really like this because if it's the mood, if it's the vibe, it's very like, you know, the seductive sirens luring the sailors to their demise. And the Drin did chart a alternative covered version. So he's charted bra tops for the 3 sirens. So you can, it's like for this one, I think it's just like a gray and black that kind of matches her tail. I think the other ones might be the same because they are, I think all their tails are similar. It's just the skin tones that I think are going to be different. But yeah, I am super happy with this. Every time a drop comes, it's just so gorgeous. It's definitely not what I thought it was going to be. Most of the Bella Filipina designs charts have been very like colorful, very bright, and this is, I think, quite a departure from what they normally do, but it still fits the styling, the way the sirens are. It's still very much his style. And even like the petite treasure braid, which I don't think I brought. But even the petite treasure braid, there's one shiny silver with some black threaded through it. There's the one gold, but that also has black threaded through it. And then the other two colors are a like deep midnight blue with black threaded through it, and then a I think they call it like a dark iris, which is purple with black threaded through. It's like not as in your face as a lot of the other Krynex and treasure braid that are usually charted in his designs, but I think it still works so well with the design. So okay, I did mention the fabric, the release schedule. I think I only have maybe 2 days, 3 tops, and then I'll be finished with the bottom part of her tail. The next part gets released February 15th. So I'm gonna have a couple of days where I won't be working on that, and I can have another project going, because I really did just focus on that mostly. In the month of January, I worked on it 26 times. So I would sometimes pick up 2 projects in a day. So I'm not saying I'm working on it days because I haven't fully worked on it, but about 26 times during the month I picked it up. That does include days where I just picked it up and maybe only put a thread in or finished off the thread. I got some stitches in, but I didn't do a lot. All right, so next I'll show the Chatelaine. I'm working on the amazing Marie Antoinette Rose Garden Kaleidoscope. This is my focus for the year. I really want to get this finished. So while I did a lot, I picked up the Blackwater Siren Sal quite often, 26 times. This one got worked 8 times. Seven times. It got worked 7 times in January, but the 7 times that I picked it up were usually on my weekends, where I spent a significant chunk of time on it. With Chatelaines, especially with the parts that I was working, it was very counting heavy. It was dark threads on dark fabric, and so that slowed me down quite a bit, but I'm still pretty happy with the progress I got. I do wish I'd picked this up more, but we've had a couple of days recently where it's been really overcast and rainy, and I really like having a lot of natural light working on this. I think having natural light and working on this is much better than having a light, just a overhead light, which unfortunately doesn't really work with my setup. My stand is pretty flimsy and it can't hold the weight, and I don't have good overhead light right now. Also, while I was working on this, I really wanted to just concentrate, which meant I did not watch Flosstube. I didn't have shows on. I either listened to music or I got back into listening to my audiobooks. So I would put my audiobook on and then I would just stitch on this. And I'll talk more about the audiobook that I listened to while I worked on this. But let's show this. We'll use this. We'll stand. So I have been working top down, and originally I thought I would start right at the top again, but for some reason the middle was calling me. So I started in the middle, and I started right here in this part. I was just looking at the chart and I could see that this symbol was basically just filling in the gap between the two, like the green and the metallic, and then the little bit of purple that I'd already done. I didn't realize, however, until I picked up the thread, that it was 310. So the first thing I did was I did 310 and filled in all of these like little sections all the way around. Honestly, not too bad, because it was just filling in, so I didn't need to pay attention to counting. And then once I kind of started on the center, I just felt like continuing. I did these blue sections all the way around, and then I did this part, and this really slowed me down. It's a really dark navy, and the way that I had to do the counting, yeah, this probably took me like 2 days just to do this section, even though it's not that big. But then honestly, once I was done that, I was kind of done with the middle, and I went to the edge. So I started filling in the edge. There was more kind of like around the edge filling in that I had to do. And then I brought in some of the color, and I will be kind of like moving out like this. I did mention in my first video that this panel specifically was the one I was not looking forward to working on, because it has a lot of backstitch vines and they're very fiddly and annoying to do. But the actual stitching part of it is not that bad. There's only 2 blue colors that fill in that entire section. And then I guess another annoying part is doing the black gate, but that's not too bad. So I did do the exact same on this side. I kind of, as I was working on one panel and finishing the thread, I was coming to the other side and doing that. But yeah. Really happy with how it looks so far. And also, I didn't do this last time when I was showing the whips, but I thought I would show the threads for it and the bead pack, because I do have everything fully kitted. So I bought this off of European cross stitch company as a set. The only thing I didn't do is I picked the option excluding the Gloriana, because the Gloriana was taking so long. Actually, in fact, I think when I ordered it, because I was okay with waiting for a while, I did order the set that had the Gloriana, but after, I think it was getting close to 9 months. I'd been waiting 9 months, and everything was there. Everything else in the kit was ready. The beads were ready. All the other thread. It was just the 3 or 4 Gloriana that were needed that wasn't available. And so I did contact her. God, I can't remember her name right now. I'll put it on the screen. She's very nice and she's very helpful. I told her that I would just take what we had and I would find the Gloriana myself. And I was able to find them off of a very like small needlework store that did ship across the border. It was expensive, but I guess I really wanted everything so I could start. When you first get your kits from European Cross Stitch, everything comes in floss away bags and it comes all on one ring. So I actually separated it because it was pretty bulky, the one ring. I separated everything. I left all the Rainbow Gallery threads on one ring. So there's a lot of silk lame and then the petite treasure braid. I left all of that on this ring, and on the other ring is where I put all the water lilies. And then I think there's I think this one has 1 dinky dye and then 3 Glorianas. So that's just how I decided to divide it. And honestly, if you're doing a chatelaine and you get your stuff from European Cross Stitch, this is probably one of the easiest ways to just kind of keep track of everything. I will probably bobbinate everything later, just because I prefer to have things on bobbins. It just works really well with my limited storage to have it in bobbins. Or I might just keep it on floss away bags, but for now this is working really well for me as I'm picking and choosing the things to work on. So that's almost all the threads. This particular chatelaine does not have too much DMC. It has maybe like 15, if that, and a lot of them are blues, and there's DMC 310 or yeah 310 black, and then just a few other colors. But bulk of the stitching so far has been in the silk lame and the water lilies. So that's all the threads for it. And the bead pack. Ooh, let's do that. So a lot of blues, there's greens and pinks for the roses, gold. There are some Tila beads. The center is a heart, and there are a few bicones. And mostly like the round beads just up in here. And then like the regular seed beads are all down here. But yeah, I am looking forward to working with the beads, but we're not quite there. I want to wait till the very end to do the beads, just because I don't want it to get squished. And I like to give everything like a final iron, and I use a lint roller to just get rid of any extra lint before I start putting the beads. It's kind of hard to do that when the beads are sticking out all over the place. So I forgot to mention that the Chatelaine Marie Antoinette Rose Garden is being stitched on 32 count linen in black by Zweigart. I have 2 more Chatelaines kitted up. They are the Kaleidoscope gardens. There's the Lavender Garden and the Art Nouveau Lily Garden. And I have black Zweigart to do all of them on. I really wanted them to match. I know that the Lily, Art Nouveau Lily has a lot of black stitches. That's probably going to be a pain to work on, but we're not there yet. We'll get to it when we get to it. And oh, I did actually want to mention one thing in regards to Chatelaine. Recently I came across a channel. It's called, the channel is Belushi Stitches. I'll put it down on the screen. They also have an Instagram. They have a series that they're doing on their Flosstube called the Chatelaine Chronicles. And currently she's working on Versailles Fan Garden. And the videos are very interesting, as also someone who's struggling a little bit to stitch my Chatelaine. She's walking through the process. When she's working on one section, she's talking about what difficulty she might have, what might be a little bit annoying. When she makes a mistake, she talks about it and then goes back and fixes it. And it's been nice to watch her go through it, as I'm also going through my Chatelaine and encountering the way that it's charted and just things that I think I'm doing right, but I might not be doing right. But all these finicky little details which feel like they're not worth it, but then in the end they are worth it. She's had a lot of the same thoughts that I've had while I've worked on this. As much as I love the Chatelaine, it's been work. It's been work, but I do know that it will be worth it in the end. But check her out. Her videos, she's done Chatelaine Chronicles for Evening in the Park, which I think she's finished. And then she's currently doing the Chatelaine Chronicles on Versailles Fan Garden. The last video she did was actually stitching the monograms. There's 2 monograms on there, one for King Louis and one for Marie Antoinette. And that was the last part that she was working on that I saw. But yeah, please check her out and I guess experience Chatelaine along with her and with me. All right, so that's all the whips. And now we're gonna talk about my SAF. So SAF, again, start and finish, and this is also fully finished. I ordered so this is for Canada Swaps, which January 10th is when we got the email of who our swapee will be, who's going to be the recipient of whatever I stitch. It was important to wait to that point because this swap is also uses the participant's favorite color. So you're supposed to incorporate it in some way, either in the fabric or in like the thread, or in some way it's supposed to be like a focal point. So I had to wait till that point so I knew what color I needed to focus on. And then also I was encouraged to use a Canadian designer. It wasn't required. But when I received my participant's name, information, and also the color that they wanted, I could basically go shopping, because I did not have anything. I did not have a pattern that I could use because the color was pink, and I don't mind pink, but it's not my favorite color and I don't tend to gravitate towards pink things. So I did look in Stash first, and the patterns that I had on PDF, I did not have anything that would really work. So I did have to go shopping online for something. And I basically just started first with a lot of the Canadian designers I knew. I kind of went through, checked out their websites, to see if there was anything that kind of jumped out at me. If there wasn't, I was gonna kind of broaden my search to other designers, but I was starting Canadian first. So one of my go-tos for Canadian designers, I always check these two ladies out first. I went to Erin Elizabeth Designs, and she had some really nice patterns. She had a really nice tier, a Valentine tier, which I was tempted to do, but the last swap I did, I stitched a tier, and then I also stitched a tier to keep to myself. So I thought maybe I should leave the tiers for now. And there was a few other really nice pink patterns, but nothing really kind of like, oh, I really want to stitch that as well as I think the person might like it. I went to Shannon Christine Designs website next, because I also very much like Shannon Christine Designs, and that's where I got this. So this is Rose Quartz by Shannon Christine Designs, and well, what drew me was all the beads. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, so you can see the sparkle. There's that giant rose quartz piece in the middle. There's 4 bicones in the corner, and then after that it's just all gold and pink beads. So when I saw this, I thought, okay, this is really nice. It's also, I really wanted to do it because of the beads. I felt like I hadn't beaded in a long time, which is a bit of a lie, because I beaded a lot in December when I did my pillow finish, the Winter Woodland Star. All the outside was beaded, but it felt like I hadn't beaded in too long. So I saw this and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what I want to do. And I really liked the pinkness of this. It's only 3 colors of DMC and gold Krynic, and then the rest is all backstitch and beads. Plus it's like a very nice size. So about the size, when you get the pattern, it's the information, the size information and everything is given to you on 14 count white Aida. It's 41 by 41 stitches, which means on a 14 count Aida it comes out to less than 3 inches by 3 inches, and that just seemed a little too small. I mean, it would have been okay, but it just felt a little too small. So then I had to think, okay, I want it bigger, but if it's already on 14 count and that small, what do I do? And so I used a fabric calculator where you can kind of decide the size of the fabric, and it kind of tells you the size of the design. It's the one on Yarn Tree. I really like using that one. I thought, what if I took 20 count Aida and stitched over 2 so that it's a 10 count? And then it's, because it's not 10 count, it's not gonna have like the big holes, but it'll still be bigger. So I kind of punched it in. What would it be like if I did it on a 10 count? And the size was going to be a little less than 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches, which was perfect because I knew I could get a 5 by 5 frame, a shadow box frame, and it would look perfect in it. So that's what I did. I ordered 20 count fabric. I then had to upsize everything. So it was calling for a number 4 Krynic braid. I went with number 8 because now that I was doing over 2, I wanted the coverage. The beads were originally the size 11, and I bumped those up to a size 8. The bicone and the piece in the center were something I went to Michael's to find. So I just kind of gauged what I would need. I think it did give the millimeter of the bicone, and so I kind of upped that size. The stone in the middle, there was no instruction. If you've ever stitched Shannon Christine, she'll give you the called for DMC, and if there's a Krynic or anything like that, she'll give the called for. But when it comes to the beads, it's just pink seed bead, gold seed bead, So you kind of get to choose your own. It is a little bit hard when you're trying to find, for instance, the center that was used. It's not this center. This center is so big. The lighting in here is so bad because it's gotten kind of overcast. I think we're gonna get snow later, so I've lost a lot of my natural lighting. But yeah, it's pretty chunky. And I did have to rework the middle a little because it's longer than what the pictured center was. But I'm so happy with how this came out. I kind of want to stitch a rainbow of these, and she does have more on her website. I think it's from 2016. She did birthstones, so January through to December you have all the birthstones, and then there was 2 extras that came out. One was this one, the rose quartz, and then there's another one that's jade, and they look similar. I think the sizes are similar. The difference is in all the swoops and the back stitching. They're slightly different, but they still like very complementary. So I kind of want to do all of them. Maybe slowly. I do have like, I do think if you had a rainbow of these, that would look so nice. I don't know if you do them individually like this. I kind of feel like individually like this would look nice, but on one fabric or like as a bell pull, that would also be very nice. Okay, yeah, so I did this on 20 count. It's stitched over 2 fabric threads with 3 strands for the DMC floss. I did start off with 4, but the 4 threads through the 20 count was kind of enlarging the hole a little way too much. So I had to bring it down to 3. I think the coverage for 3 is still pretty good, but you can definitely still see the X, which if that bothers you, you're gonna have to use 4 to get rid of it. But 3 seemed like a pretty good number. It gave me a decent amount of coverage. The number 8 braid I just used as is. I did not double that, and that coverage as well was about the same. You can still kind of see the X, but you can still see the cross, but you can, it still gives a pretty good amount of coverage. Back stitching with the 1 thread was fine. And then the beads were honestly pretty perfect. It got a little tight in some areas where they were a little close together, but not that I had to take anything out. They did manage to kind of all squish in. Materials. So I got most of the materials from Embroidery Marketplace, which is in Calgary. They have really fast shipping. I've ordered from them a couple times now. I'm super happy with the speed and then the clarity on their website. They do pretty on their website. They have things listed, but in their like kind of item description, they do leave notes about whether something is in stock, in which size, or if something might be out of stock. And she's very good with communicating. I believe her name's Jennifer. She's really good with communicating. Right away, she'll send you an email and work with you if there's any issues. The beads. So the center bead and the bicones I got at Michael's. But the seed beads in the size 8, I could not find, or at least they didn't seem to have it in stock whenever I looked. So to order them, I looked around at a few places, and the prices of the beads are not that much. It's the shipping that was really getting to me. I was only going to be spending, I think, like $7-8 on the beads, but the shipping was going to cost me $20 to $25, which was driving me insane. I think I spent a good couple hours just going to a bunch of different sites trying to find somewhere that had decent shipping. And thank God I found a place, and it's in Canada. It's That Bead Lady. She's in Ontario, and she had a flat rate. I think that was $13-14. Lifesaver, because it was just ridiculous paying $25 for shipping when I'm only spending $5, $6, $7 for the items, and they're not that much. So I do highly recommend if you're in Canada and you need beads. These are the Miyuki beads. She had a very good selection. That bead lady. So yeah, check her out. I'll link, I'll leave in the description the shops that I used. I am trying to be more mindful. I am doing no buy, but if I do need to buy things, I am being more mindful and trying to shop Canadian. It's just better with the shipping and with the conversion. I am just trying to keep it a bit more local as much as you can with stuff like this, because unfortunately we don't really have many local crafting places. We have Michael's and that's it. But yeah, really happy with this. I hope my recipient really likes this. I have enough materials to make another one myself. I'm kind of tempted, but for now, that's my little beading adventure. I worked on this 5 days. I started it January 24th and finished it January 28th. And some of that was trial and error. Like the first day I picked it up, I was trying to do 4 threads, realized that wasn't gonna work and had to undo and go back to 3. And then I had an issue with the center. I actually had a different center to begin with and then changed it out for this one because this other center was not working. It wasn't really looking the way I was envisioning. But yeah, that's my very long-winded explanation on my small little SAF that's for Canada swaps. And I guess with that, we'll keep talking about Canada swaps. So in addition to the item you stitched, you are allowed to kind of send a little gift of any kind. They do ask that you keep it $10 or less. So because I have a lot of leftover beads, I was thinking that I would maybe make zipper pulls from this. And then I have quite a few of I have a lot of the pink beads. The pink beads barely got a dent made. I used way more of the gold beads. So yeah, use these in zipper pulls, maybe scissor fob. This was the other center. Oh, the fire truck just went by. These were the other centers I got, which they looked really nice, but when I put it up against the project, it was not working. So these will probably be added as zipper pulls, I think. I just need to look up some tutorials because I've never really done that before. So if anyone knows a really good tutorial on zipper pulls or scissor fobs, anything like that, you just leave it in the comments so I can go check it out. That's going to be my next little project, I think. And then I'll probably only make 1 zipper pull, 1 scissor fob to give to my recipient. But I was thinking that the leftovers I have, I'll make the zipper pulls and scissor fobs and I'll bring it to Stitches at the Library, which I guess we'll just roll right into the community stuff now. So Stitches at the Library, I've booked the next date. It's going to be February 15th from 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. It's at Surrey City Centre Library. And last meetup, we did have a new person join us, and we did discuss potentially doing a de-stash in our next meeting. So if you are interested in coming, we're going to just bring anything that you no longer want to stitch and that you're just going to give away, or come see if there's anything that someone else is de-stashing, any fabrics or patterns. We did talk about maybe kind of doing a communal de-stash, in a sense where whenever you bring your items to de-stash, we'll keep it all in a container or a box, and then it'll keep coming back to future meetings. That way, if anyone missed it last meeting, they can come in the next meeting and it'll be there. That was just something we discussed. It's not set in stone yet. I think it's going to depend on the amount of stuff, because if it's a lot, that's going to be too much to manage. If it's a reasonable amount, then I could see myself being able to hold on to it and bring it to the next meeting for someone. And then we can just kind of keep that going. If you ever have things to destash and no one takes it right away, we can keep it in a container and then just have it brought to future meetings where hopefully someone else who might be joining for the first time can use it. Also, Arica is hosting a event as well. It's going to be February 22nd. I'm not going to give too many details, other than if you would like to, maybe if you can't make it on the 15th, if you would like to maybe come on the 22nd, you can check Arica's latest Flosstube video where she mentions it, or you can contact her about information. It is most likely going to be out in Abbotsford, so as long as you're okay going out to Abbotsford area, then just send her a message and she can give you details if you are able to come. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to do was actually just show off a previous finish. So I have a shelf that's kind of in our entryway area, and I've started showing off finishes that aren't framed. I've basically just pinned them to a board and kind of propped them up on an easel, just as a way to kind of still show off things that I've made without, because the framing costs a lot and I can't frame everything because then there's no spot for these frames. It makes it pretty big and bulky, but so this has been a nice way to kind of show off things I've stitched. I can still see them and enjoy them, and every couple of months I've been switching them out. So this is the piece that I had up basically during the Christmas winter months, and I think probably in the next like week or so I'll probably switch it out, but I just wanted to show it before I switched it out because this is the design. Well, so the designer is not new, but this style of design, a lot of people did not know that she did Fancy Ladies. This is Seeking Fairies by Shannon Christine Designs. So yes, I did show this off a couple times during Jingle Ball. It was in the background and a couple people kind of noticed and asked, and they were very surprised to realize that Shannon Christine did in fact do Fancy Ladies. She's not really done any recently, but she does have that part still on her website, and there are quite a few. They're very lovely. Again, like the computer generated image does not do justice to the finished product, and this one really drew me because of the purple flowers in her dress, and I just kind of love this kind of like she's glancing behind her. So yeah, Seeking Fairies. This is stitched on 32 count opal linen in Twilight by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, and this was my first time using opal linen, which for this piece I really like because I kind of thought the opal made it look like there were fireflies around her and she's like walking through the night with her lantern, and it kind of gave that kind of very like mystical fairy like feel. I did not realize how shimmery opal fabric is, so this was a good piece to do it on, and I feel like everyone should get opal fabric at least once just to see. There are definitely pieces that get enhanced because of the opal in the background, but I can definitely see this kind of drowning out some designs as well. It is fun though. It's just like all the like glitteriness. And so again, the beads were just given as instructions, like gold bead, clear bead, a treasure, and then you kind of make your own decision. So I, as best I could, kind of decided what to do, where to put it. Overall, pretty happy with my decisions. But yeah, so she's gonna get put away, and then I'll probably switch my like display piece for something else. I started this October 11th, 2020 and finished it July 24th, 2021. And oh, I did change one thing. There's like a double lined gold border that kind of goes around the edge. And I took that out because I pretty much figured that if and when I frame this, it's probably going to get framed either with gold matte or with a gold frame. So it didn't really need the gold border going around. It was just a plain border as well. I think it was a single line border, a space, and then a double lined border. But yeah, just showing off. Okay, so next part is the haul. So I placed an order with 123 Stitch at the end of December, and this stuff kind of came second week January. It was a lot of just like odds and ends that I needed and fabric that I needed for future projects. So things like I was missing this one bead from a project that I want to start later on this year, and I got extra size 28 needles. Bohin is usually what I started using them, liked them, and I just stuck with them. So they're my preferred needles. So when this design came out, I shared it on my Instagram, kind of like as a joke, being like, oh, haha, this is so my mom. And of course, my mom responded right away with like, oh, are you gonna make that for me? And of course, the answer was yes. So I got this from Primitive Hair, the Primitive Hair. British at heart, quintessentially. So yes, I am quintessentially British at heart. And no immediate plans to stitch this, although this does not look like a very big stitch. Maybe later on in the year, but we're gonna see what my other progress is like. There's not much to this. I think it only uses, so it has one DMC, one Weeks Dye Works, and one Classic Colorworks, and then Vintage Gold Krynic. And I did order fabric and floss for that. So I got 32 count flax Belfast linen just by Zweigart, and then I got the Weeks Dye Works and the Classic Colorworks thread. Let's see if I can hold this up right. So the Classic Colorworks is Blue Corn, and the Weeks Dye Works is Merlot. So this is actually my first time using either of these, and I'm looking forward to the experience. But yeah, since there's only like 2 threads, I thought I'd go ahead and get the specialty. The Merlot is a really nice red, but there's not much variation to it, so you could honestly probably sub that from something for like a similar DMC. The Blue Corn has a really nice kind of like variation to it where it kind of fades a little, so I think that will look really nice. And then yeah, just the called for fabric in this is 32 count fairy cloth linen by Primitive Hair, but I honestly thought the flax would be pretty similar. Maybe not as kind of creamy, but here's that. And then another thing that I got, this was a pattern I saw a lot last year, and every time I saw it, I wanted it, but I knew I didn't have any plans to. And I think while I was making my order, just to kind of like round it up, I added this. So this is from Cottage Garden Samplings, and it is a peacock pincushion. So I did mention Allison and Stephanie from Cross Stitch the Globe. Allison stitched this last year, and it was another push I needed to go and get this pattern. So I did also buy the Weeks that was called for, Deep Sea. Again, no immediate plans to start this. It's just something I kept seeing, and I knew I eventually wanted to stitch it, and then I just added it to the cart to kind of round off the order. The last thing I have for cross stitch haul is I ordered a actually no, this isn't the last thing. Okay, we'll do this one first. I ordered 40 count platinum, a half yard. So there is a pattern that I've been meaning to start for ages, and I just again kept pushing it off because other things would come, they would distract me. This is something I do want to start by the end of the year, but it's not going to get started right away. I have one other start I want to do first, and this, I think, hopefully it should be big enough because there's like a trio of patterns by Vivsters. They all have a similar color palette, they all have similar subject matter, and I think at least 2 of the designs will fit on this, which is why I just went with a Zweigart linen, because I wanted it all on the same fabric, and they're very big designs. It was going to get very pricey if I used a hand dyed, so I figured 40 count platinum to try and keep the size down, and then hopefully it won't be too expensive. But yeah, I just teased you with that. I'm not going to show you the patterns, not yet. I will, however, show you this one. So this is the last thing I got in that order. It's 40 count Stormy Night Newcastle linen by Zweigart. This is a 1/4 yard. So this is probably going to be, as soon as I finish 2 things, I'm going to start something. And this will probably be what the next start is. The pattern is, it's Black Vintage Sampler by Owlforest Embroidery. This was 100% influenced by Laura from Stitching by the Shore, because the entire time she was working on that project, every time she showed it, every time she picked it up, I wanted it so bad. But I was stuck with like horrible indecision. I could not decide the fabric, I couldn't decide the floss. She stitched it on a really rich blue fabric with black anchor floss, and while that looked really good, I kept thinking of a variegated, and it's only like fairly recently, within the last couple of months, that I kind of hammered everything down, and then I was just having trouble picking the fabric. But I'm going to do this with Pirate Robin, Bog Witch, and DMC 310. So some elements are going to get stitched DMC 310, but the majority of it will get stitched with Bog Witch on this Stormy Night, which is the kind of gray I was looking for. I wanted something that was light with like a little bit of medium grayish in it, because then I really wanted the darker color floss to show up. And I know if you watch Thread Gremlins, anytime that they show off this floss, it never shows up well because it just won't pick up. Like, it just looks very black, but hopefully we're getting some of the like blue and green into it. They are kind of so when I bought these, I bought the Misfits. Sometimes on Pirate Robin they sell Misfits, meaning that they didn't dye 100%. There's like some patches. I don't know if the skein has one, a little bit on this, like some of the dye just didn't take, so there's like this really kind of like light spot on it. I purposely picked that because I kind of wanted these just like spots to show up. We'll see if I can do it in a nice way, but that is the thought. So I got like 9 skeins of Bog Witch, and I think 7 of those were misdyed. 6 of them were the misdyed misfits, and then I just got a couple extra just to be sure, because at that point I wasn't sure if I was going to be stitching it on like 40 count or if I was going to do a slightly smaller count and would need more thread. I think I have enough. That kind of rolls into plans. So actually no, cancel. So that was it for cross stitch haul. The other haul I have has to do with the planner. So because I got the planner, I had to have stickers. I got these first. I was eating at a restaurant with some friends, and nearby is a store called Daiso. Daiso is a Japanese dollar store equivalent. They kind of sell stuff like that, and everything's like $1.20, $1.50 low. It's like convenience. Maybe, yeah, it's basically a dollar store, but the products are all from like Japan. And so I went to their stationery section and picked up a couple of the stickers that they had. Everything was like $1 for the sheet. So just some like hearts and stars. One side is like holographic and one side is just like patterned. And then these kind of packs. I like purple, so I was going for more of the purple stickers. There's 4 sheets, but the sheets are all of the same sticker. But I don't know, I really like the kind of vibe and cutesy. I don't know if that's focusing well. And this one again was another like theme. They had this exact same like sticker style but in different colors, so if you like different colors, they had like a whole bunch of other colors. I of course got the purple one, and then this one which was really cutesy. So I got those, but then I also still off Amazon ordered the sticker books that a lot of people like to use. Value wise, these are probably the best to get, because for instance, you got like 900 stickers in this one, and I think it's only $13-14 Canadian, and none of the stickers repeat. They're all different unique stickers. And they even have, where is it? Here we go. They have this page, which I was very confused about at first until I noticed that it is cut into like shapes. There's like pennants, circles, and then some lines. I don't know how, let's see if I can show this. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it there. The ring light glare actually helping me. But there's a couple pages like that, which was pretty interesting. So I got this one, the Celestial Wonders, and I did get the bunches of botanicals. So again, this one's got 500 stickers. None of them repeat. They're all different. And again, like value-wise, this is probably better value-wise. There is one more book in this set that I really want. It's the library themed one, but it's sold out. I think I'll probably actually have to try and find it at a retail store. More stickers than I can use this year, but I foresee myself using the planner next year and the year after, so this will probably just keep me going for a while. The stickers from Daiso were just kind of like, I was in the neighborhood and I just wanted to check it out, and then just to have like some different things, I picked them up. So let's see, plans. So Bella Filipina, Sal, like I said, I'm almost done with that tail. It's probably only going to take me another 2-3 days tops to finish. After that, I think I'm going to pick up Traditional Reminiscence. I'm down at the bottom where it's all her pink skirt, so I feel like it's actually seasonally appropriate that I'll be working on pink. The next drop for Bella Filipina is the 15th, so I'll be working on traditional reminiscence until the 14th, which is perfect. After that, I'll probably pick up the Bella. The next part is again gonna most likely be the top half of one of the sirens, and since I'm doing the skin 1/1, it is taking slightly longer, so I do want to start that right away because I know I'll need more time to stitch that. And then also the Chatelaine, I'll continue mostly picking that up on my weekends, I think. It's just working out the best that I can just sit down and give it some dedicated time. And then I'm going to keep listening to my audiobooks while I do the Chatelaine, because that's also helping me really just focus in on it. No distractions. With the distractions, it's really easy to lose your place, and then you feel like you have to kind of find your way again. So the audiobook's working really well with the Chatelaine. And that's it for plans, I think. Just plugging away at what I have. And then the 2 meetups that I have, so stitching at the library on the 15th, and then Arica's get together on the 22nd. I think that's it for cross stitch and cross stitch adjacent items. I'll end off the video talking about, I'll talk about the audiobook that I was listening to and maybe just a few other little things. If all you came for was the cross stitch stuff, thanks for stopping by. And I hope to see you in my next video. So, I guess we'll call this life stuff. Reading the audiobook. So when I was trying to find something to listen to while I worked on this Chatelaine, I do have a couple books already in my app. I use Kobo, and I actually have the subscription with Kobo that gives you access to their audiobooks and their ebooks at a bit of a discount, and then they also give you access to a certain how would you say, they give you access to a certain bunch of audiobooks or a certain bunch of ebooks that are for free. Usually those are more like indie titles, they're self-published stuff. Very rarely do you find like a bestseller on there. But you do still find good books or good audiobooks on there. There's definitely some not good ones, but you can still find good ones. And this was one of them. I was just browsing through as I was thinking, what do I want to listen to? Something that's not too intense. I don't want anything that's really going to grab my attention and pull it away from my stitching. I want something that's interesting enough that I can kind of listen to and follow along, but not something too heavy in the sense that I'm too invested in this story now. And the genre that came up to my mind was, okay, I need a cozy mystery. That's what I need, because usually cozy mysteries, they're the mysteries are not that intense. The stories are usually very kind of like surface level. There's not too much depth into it, or if there is, it's like brief moments of depth before we kind of come back to like somewhat lightheartedness, somewhat like interesting mystery. And I just tried it out. It was free because of my subscription, so I just thought, okay, I'll try it out. It's called The Ghostly Grounds, Murder and Breakfast, a Canine Casper Cozy Mystery. So after that title, it was 5 hours and 54 minutes. I was like, okay, let's just try it. I was kind of browsing for a while. I just needed to pick something. And the first book, not bad, not great. The mystery was very predictable. It wasn't the focus though, interestingly enough for me. The focus was on the slightly paranormal things going on. So it is a book about ghosts and hauntings. the main character inherits her great aunt's house that has like rumors around it about it being haunted, and some slightly weird things are going on. So that to me was the big like, oh, what's going on there? Not the mystery. The mystery you solved more or less right away. But it was still enjoyable enough that I went to the second book. The second book has been much better. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm not finished it. The second book is called The Ghostly Grounds, Death and Brunch. So the titles kind of follow that theme of like a bed and breakfast type thing. Yeah, I'm not quite finished that book, but it's much better than the second one. Or sorry, it's much better than the first one. It's definitely an improvement. And like I said, it's nothing too intensive. You don't have to think about it. You're just kind of listening and enjoying it. I did also go on my Goodreads and clear out so much. I've had a Goodreads account since I think 2010, and I've just constantly been adding to it, and my to be read pile I think reached 765, and I kind of took a day to go through and just kind of purge a lot of it. A lot of it was I read the first book in a series, and then I just kept putting off reading the second one, and then now after all this time I thought about it, I'm not going to do it, so I just got rid of that stuff. And I do still want to pick up a book. I've not been reading at all, but I just can't seem to find the time to read. I know myself, if I pick up a book, I'm going to read nonstop until it's done, which means I won't do anything else. So I think I've kind of been putting it off because of that reason. It's easier with the audiobooks to kind of start and stop it, at least in my opinion. I think when I read, I get way too into my head in that sense. Plans, other things I'm up to, not much, honestly. I really did just stitch a lot. Went out with the friends a couple of times, had the meeting at the library, and today actually we're gonna have my cousins and my brother and sister-in-law come over. We're gonna do a board game night, which is something we haven't done in quite a few months because last year was very busy. So I'm looking forward to that. We're finally gonna have a board game night. But I think that's it. We'll stop here. Thank you so much for checking out the second Flosstube, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.